China and Japan share a complex history, marked by periods of both fruitful cultural exchange and devastating conflict. For centuries, Japan drew inspiration from Chinese philosophy, art, and governance. Buddhism, for instance, traveled from China to Japan, leaving an enduring mark on Japanese culture. This exchange fostered mutual respect and understanding. However, this harmony was punctuated by periods of conflict. Piracy and territorial disputes strained relations in earlier centuries. These tensions escalated dramatically in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with Japan's emergence as a military power. The First Sino-Japanese War from 1894 to 1895 saw Japan defeat China, gaining control of Taiwan and highlighting China's vulnerability. This victory fueled Japan's imperial ambitions, culminating in its brutal invasion and occupation of Manchuria in 1931. The Second Sino-Japanese War, from 1937 to 1945, part of World War II, brought unimaginable suffering to China. Japanese atrocities during this conflict, like the Nanjing Massacre, remain deeply etched in the Chinese psyche, fueling resentment and mistrust. While post-war decades saw efforts towards reconciliation, the scars of history continue to hinder a genuine rapprochement between China and Japan. The legacy of conflict, particularly the memory of Japanese aggression, remains a significant obstacle in forging a strong and stable relationship. Japan's imperial ambitions during the early 20th century cast a long shadow over its contemporary relationship with China. The brutal invasion and occupation of Manchuria, coupled with the atrocities committed during the Second Sino-Japanese War, left deep wounds in Chinese society. These wounds continue to fester, generating distrust and resentment towards Japan. While Japan has officially apologized for its wartime actions, many in China perceive these apologies as inadequate or insincere. Furthermore, some Japanese nationalist groups continue to downplay or deny the extent of Japanese wartime atrocities. This denial further inflames tensions and fuels Chinese skepticism towards Japan's intentions. The legacy of Japanese imperialism is not merely a historical artifact, but a contemporary reality. It colors Chinese perceptions of Japan's growing military and economic might, fueling anxieties about a resurgence of Japanese militarism. This history serves as a constant reminder of the power imbalance that once defined the relationship, making it challenging for China to view Japan as an equal partner. Territorial disputes further complicate the Sino-Japanese relationship, with the Senkaku, Diaoyu Islands representing a particularly contentious issue. Both China and Japan claim sovereignty over these uninhabited islands in the East China Sea, each citing historical and geographical evidence to bolster their claims. The island's strategic location, potential natural resources, and symbolic importance have transformed them into a flashpoint for nationalist sentiments in both countries. Chinese fishing vessels and Coast Guard ships frequently sail near the islands, prompting protests and countermaneuvers from Japan, which administers them. These maritime encounters heighten the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Both sides have shown an unwillingness to compromise, with nationalist rhetoric often exacerbating the situation. The Senkaku-Diaoyu dispute underscores the deep-seated mistrust and the potential for conflict that continue to plague the Sino-Japanese relationship. Japan's alliance with the United States adds another layer of complexity to its relationship with China. As a treaty ally, Japan relies on the U.S. for its security, particularly in the face of a rising China. This alliance, forged during the Cold War, has taken on renewed significance as China expands its military presence in the region. While Japan values its alliance with the U.S., it also recognizes the importance of maintaining stable relations with China, its largest trading partner. This delicate balancing act requires Japan to navigate carefully between its security commitments to the U.S. and its economic interests with China. China, for its part, views the U.S. Japan alliance with suspicion, particularly as Washington seeks to counter Beijing's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific region. China sees the alliance as a relic of the Cold War, designed to contain its rise and limit its influence. This perception fuels tensions and complicates efforts to build trust between Beijing and Tokyo. Section 5. The economy intertwined yet strained. Despite the political tensions, China and Japan share a deep economic interdependence. China is Japan's largest trading partner, while Japan is one of China's largest investors. This economic relationship, built over decades, has brought significant benefits to both countries. However, this economic interdependence has not translated into a commensurate level of political trust. Political disputes such as the Senkaku or Diaoyu Islands issue often spill over into the economic realm, leading to boycotts, protests, and disruptions in trade and investment. Moreover, the economic relationship is increasingly characterized by competition, particularly in high-tech sectors. Both countries are vying for technological dominance, leading to accusations of intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices. While economic ties offer a potential avenue for cooperation, they also highlight the areas of friction that continue to impede a closer relationship. Section 6. Nationalism, a potent force. Nationalist sentiments within both China and Japan play a significant role in shaping public perceptions and influencing government policies. Historical grievances, territorial disputes, and strategic rivalry fuel nationalist narratives, making it challenging for leaders to pursue rapprochement without facing domestic backlash. In China, the memory of Japanese aggression during World War II continues to resonate deeply, shaping public opinion towards Japan. The Chinese government often utilizes this sentiment to bolster its legitimacy and deflect domestic criticism. This exploitation of nationalist sentiment can make it politically risky for Chinese leaders to be seen as overly conciliatory towards Japan. Similarly, in Japan, nationalist groups advocate for a more assertive foreign policy, particularly regarding China. They downplay or deny Japan's wartime atrocities, fueling tensions with China. While these groups do not represent the views of all Japanese, their rhetoric contributes to a climate of mistrust and hinders efforts at reconciliation. Section 7. Recent tensions testing the waters. Recent incidents highlight the fragility of the Sino-Japanese relationship and the potential for tensions to escalate quickly. Chinese Coast Guard vessels regularly patrol waters near the Senkaku Diaoyu Islands, prompting protests from Japan. In 2022, Chinese missiles fired during military exercises near Taiwan landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone, raising alarm bells in Tokyo. Furthermore, Japan's decision to release treated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean, despite opposition from China, has further strained relations. China accused Japan of irresponsibility and environmental damage, while Japan maintained the release was safe and scientifically justified. These incidents underscore the deep mistrust and potential for miscalculation that persist between the two countries. They demonstrate how historical grievances, territorial disputes, and strategic rivalry continue to fuel tensions, making it challenging to build a stable and cooperative relationship. Section 8. A bridge yet to be built. Despite decades of efforts to improve relations, a genuine rapprochement between China and Japan remains elusive. The historical baggage, territorial disputes, strategic rivalry, and nationalist sentiments create a complex web of challenges that hinder the development of a truly cooperative relationship. While economic interdependence offers some incentives for cooperation, it has proven insufficient to overcome the deep-seated mistrust and political obstacles. Both sides recognize the need for dialogue and cooperation on issues of mutual interest, such as climate change, pandemics, and regional security. However, the path towards a more harmonious relationship remains fraught with obstacles. Addressing historical grievances, finding a resolution to the Senkaku Diaoyu dispute, and managing strategic competition will require sustained effort, political will, and a willingness to compromise on both sides. Until then, the relationship between China and Japan is likely to remain characterized by a mixture of cooperation and competition, with the potential for conflict always looming in the background. Section 9. Looking ahead. Can cooperation prevail? The future of the Sino-Japanese relationship remains uncertain. The potential for cooperation exists, driven by shared economic interests and regional challenges. However, the deep-seated mistrust, historical grievances, and strategic rivalry continue to cast a long shadow. Moving forward, both countries must prioritize dialogue and diplomacy. Addressing historical grievances, finding a resolution to the Senkaku Diaoyu dispute, and managing strategic competition will be crucial. Building trust and fostering people-to-people exchanges can help bridge the divide. The international community also has a role to play in encouraging dialogue and cooperation between China and Japan. Promoting multilateralism and regional security mechanisms can help manage tensions and prevent miscalculations. Ultimately, a more harmonious Sino-Japanese relationship is essential for regional stability and global prosperity. Whether cooperation or conflict will define their future remains to be seen.